So I'm going to turn it on recorded as well, so that we can kind of send you we can send it to you if it does become a bit difficult to miss any part.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so what you can see here, this is what we call a catalog, so a bit of a spreadsheet view of what basically lives in the repository. And what you can see is here we've got platform services, but you have all these different catalogs that you can build out. So catalogs that look at your finance components, applications, and information infrastructure. So desktop service is basically a catalog that contains information and properties on all your different elements. And what they basically do is looks up and down through the meta model. So this is the Avolution meta model that we have here. And what you can see here is it goes from strategy, projects, capabilities, all the way through to the technical information and the infrastructure at the bottom. And what you can see on the right hand side here is that we've actually taken best practice from several different models. So the likes of TOGAF, BPMN, and that's how this one's been built up. And one thing that is really good within ABACUS is that we actually support multiple frameworks out of the box. And if I just show you these here, so within the library, these are all come as standard. You probably see some names here that you're familiar with, so the likes of TOGAF, Zachman, and Archimate, BPMN, all those you can basically use straight out of the box if you're developing your own meta model or you're just needing some inspiration. But it ultimately means that you don't have to start your meta model from scratch. You've got an area to work on to start with. Okay. So one thing that might be worth considering for you guys is when you're building out a meta model, what you can see here, we've got the level 2 meta model. And we've got 3, you can see I've opened up already along the top. And it's basically depending on what stage of your enterprise architecture team is at. You might want to start very high level depending on where your reports need to go to. So if you need to start with something a little bit simplistic like level 0, you can start from there and then gradually work your way up. I'll just zoom out so you can see each one a bit clearer. So you can see each iteration contains more detail than the last. So these are all out of the box as well, available to use. So yeah, again, really useful as a baseline. And this is all completely configurable from your end. So if you've got components in here that you do or don't want to use, you can edit these to your heart's content ultimately. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we're looking at a catalog. So what I'll open here we have a catalog for applications. And as I said before, it's basically a spreadsheet view showing on each row a different component within your repository. And what you can see here, it's grouped by different areas and different properties. But what you can see, we've got a CRM across it, and each of these columns are properties or connections. So the properties you can see here, description, supplier, application manager, and you can see such things as types of recommendation. If I just scroll across, and within these you can also have like your business fit score, criticality scores, and some of these scores you can edit using the algorithms, which I will go through later. So it can automatically calculate, and this also derives the color coding as well. But equally, you can go into these catalogs and change the values very simply. So it's very user friendly. You can just go in and, let's say, what you can see here, you've got plenty of connections and properties that you can use. And one thing that you can see here is the connections are basically the relationships between the application and another component. So where you can see this little arrow, you can see the application interfaces with another application, and what you might be able to do here is look at the department it's in, what processes it's using, and go further along. You can have a look at its risks, look at its standards, any platform services that it requires, what databases it interfaces with, and what servers it's hosted at. So within these catalogs, you can basically create all the links that you need between any component, and this is where you'll primarily edit your data. But say, for example, most businesses use a lot of Excel spreadsheets, so you can export this using these little buttons here to import en masse data that you have sat in spreadsheets, and that can be Google Sheets. And we've also got integrations to other servers built in, and you can and we have a REST API that you can use. So wherever your information is currently sat, you're able to import these into the catalogs with minimal effort, really. And once it's in there, you can just manage your data within the catalog.
I just found out in the chat box there, it seems like there's network issues affecting one of the attendees. So I just wanted to just pause the demonstration just for about a minute, just to see, can we just share it, unshare it, and reshare it again? Is that all right? Okay. Okay, that should be back up now. So can you let me know if you're able to see that now then? Okay, that's good. That seems to have fixed the problem. Yeah, if you guys can carry on, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so effectively, this catalog is just a customized view of applications with a lot of information in. So these are completely customizable. So like we said, lots and lots of information in here. You can customize these to take out various columns, the connections and the properties using this little window. So these are all the different properties that you can have, and you can simplify or even expand on what information you have here, depending on what the audience is going to be. So I'd say scrolling through, you can see the relationships, and ultimately what this does, these relationships are following through the meta model as we discussed. So you can see an application uses a process, and a process performs a role. So these connections here, the users performs role, actually sit looking with, like this column here where we've got the supplier with the arrow, and you can filter as you would in Excel using these columns, so you can filter down quite easily using the catalog. Okay. So once you've got your information in a catalog, it's likely that you're going to want to start building up some visual aesthetic views of your data. So what I will open here is a business capability map, and let me just zoom in here for you guys. So what we're using here is the ABACUS classification framework for this particular capability map, and it's showing two of the roughly 6 or 7 levels that it has. So what this is ultimately showing is high level capabilities and processes, and you can see with the different colorings, this is actually generated using a heat mapping effect on those objects. In this case, if I select the general property on the left hand side, you can see these are the processes here, and that there, so it doesn't disappear. So all these are processes, and the coloring is basically derived from the property that we've set in here. And in this case, this is the recommendation value. So, and I'll show you that in a bit more detail. So these capabilities and processes are a set of references that you can see here, and they ultimately show what's connected to the process, such as your department, application, and ultimately showing everything that underpin this particular process here. So what you can do, if you want to go down a level further, we can go and have a look at application interface diagram. I'll just hide that. So this is basically showing all of the interfaces of a subset of the application. So you can see here the protocol that we're using for a particular interface. So here it's showing the HTTP, and you can also see an application that interfaces with a database. So it's good for very high level view, so you can see the connections and the relationship between the components. We can drill down into this even further. So if I zoom in on this diagram, what you can see here is color markers. So you can add these using the annotations, and that basically shows information on the criticality. So here it's going red, criticality level 5, whereas further down here, level 4. So we've just set a RAG status on there. You can show the approved and denied standards, show a property showing which language that this application is written in, and also a bit of a description in terms of platform service that this integration requires. So, like I say, you can use these annotations along with the heat mapping to indicate such things as ownership costs, perhaps lifecycle dates, and even displaying business goals or capabilities that you have. So one thing you can see here is, and we do this by using what we call a stencil. So by opening the stencil, this is everything that is within this particular viewpoint, and this is where we basically make the changes. So a stencil is effectively a lens on how you see a particular diagram. So you can have potentially multiple lenses on this diagram, for example. So if I just do that again, and what you could say here is this is showing the, I'll just open up, change color. You see here, so the color in here is done red to green based on the recommendation. And what you could do is change this to say, let's have a look at the TCO financials. So, okay, properties there. So, looks like I'll bear with this. So we can change it to the end of life date, and no, I'm picking the wrong property here, so let me just double check the properties what we've got attributed to these. There we go. So if I get this one right this time. For some reason, well, basically what you can do, and for some reason it's not letting me do that on this diagram at the moment. So it might be because I'm in a read-only mode, but when you change the properties, these will change color based on these colors that you select. There we go, this is what I missed, apologies. So yeah, you can see the range here. So what it'll show is red screen based on a maximum and minimum value. So if we look at, there we go, that's what I meant to do all along. Okay. So you can actually see here, not so clearly, so what you can do, you can change the range of these colors. So we can say maximum value if you want to see that to red, and as a green, just make it a bit clearer. Then you can see the RAG status based on the colorings that you can do that, like I said, based on ownership costs, life cycle dates. It's completely configurable. So those properties that we saw there, what you can select, you can actually create those for all of your components. So Abacus works quite similarly to Visio in the sense that you can drag and drop new content. So you don't have to reuse anything. You can, and I'll show you that. But say if you want to add a new application in, you can just drag this on, new application, as you would in Visio. And what the difference is with Visio, you can create the connections, make that connection as so. But the difference to Visio is that within Visio you'll probably have multiple instances and diagrams that contain the same content. So you can have an application or view that has the same content across a lot.
Well, what happens if you use a name you already have within the repository?
Yeah, no worries. I'm just getting onto that. So, like I was saying, yeah, you can drag and drop. So if you wanting to use something you already have, you can connect it as Visio. Or if you want something you've already got, you can start typing in the name of an application and it will actually search the repository. So you can select it and use it. And so that's actually, rather than creating new content, using one that's already in there in our repository. So like I say, with Visio, when you've got multiple instances with lots of applications or whatever your components are across 50 plus diagrams, within Visio you'll have to go in and change every diagram when any edit's made. Within Abacus, however, though, you can have thousands of diagrams, and all you'll have to do, whenever you change any information within the repository, it will update your diagrams. So say you change the criticality score in the repository, it will update in your diagram. Okay. So along with
I have another question actually. So the tool itself, is this a web page on or is it an application you're connecting to the repository?
Can you just repeat that again? Sorry, it broke up a little bit.
So this is an application installed on the client's machine?
It can be. So you can either have it installed on a client's machine, or else we can have it on the cloud. So we can actually host it ourselves.
Okay, so basically you can end up with a portal. You just log in and then you start adding things in there.
Oh, sorry, I didn't actually catch that again. It broke out again.
So you don't need to install the application on the client's machine. You can actually just use the web browser to be accessing the ABACUS software.
Yeah, that's completely right. So you have the option. It depends on what you'd prefer, but we'd allow both.
Will it then be your offering, or is it possible for the client to install the tool itself on his own solution, and you still use a web access?
Yeah. So basically, what Nick's showing you at the moment is Abacus Studio. Abacus Studio we're able to do as an on-premise deployment or as a as a deployment in the cloud. So we're able to host it for you. But if you guys want, we can definitely install it on your own devices. Now, one of the only caveats there is generally it works better with Windows. So to have it on a Mac, I think you would need to kind of install like a different system on your computer for that. So generally we find with a lot of Mac users, we'd usually recommend that they use the cloud. Just because it's just a bit simpler for them, but either way, it is very, very doable in both senses.
Okay.
Okay. Cheers. Okay. So sorry guys, just wanted to get through the demo. So if you just put any other questions you've got just on hold until I'm finished with the demo, or just type them in the chat box, and we'll get to the questions after we've gone through all the functionality. Okay, so like I said, we're just discussing the diagrams here. So you can drag and drop quite simply, same as you would in Visio. But another way you can actually bring content into a diagram is, not by doing that, is by opening element selection. And this basically searches the repository for every component and connection. So you can go through and select basically whatever you want to be added into your diagram, and You can use elements attached to, so if you've got a particular viewpoint and you're just wanting to add extra connections in there that you know aren't in there, you can actually use this. But it's a bit like a tennis match, to be fair. So looking at the elements attached to, you can see these are all the components that are currently sat within this diagram, and you can see there's a few connections that haven't been created. So by selecting one, then bouncing back to the side, you can see the database hasn't been added in there. So it just gives you a bit of visibility of what's in the diagram and also what's not. So you can drag in anything you want and add in just to basically configure a diagram however you need them to be. Excuse me. So you can actually create diagrams automatically, such as this diagram that we have here. And this is basically showing an end-to-end diagram with various areas of the organization, top to bottom, so from the strategy and people and projects all the way down through the infrastructure. So this is automatically created by what we call a world according to view, which means that we produce a diagram for, and in this case, every capability and shows all of its immediate connections. So we've got the capability there, and it shows everything that's filtered out from it. And to do this, you can see, let me show this. So in here, we have our diagram section and our template. So we've got our solution diagram template here. And what the world according to view does is basically it groups the components. So all the components that you drag in using the world according to views, which I'll show you shortly, will be ordered in accordance to this structure here. But it's actually created using these scripts that we have. And all of these scripts and algorithms do come out of the box. But just for an example here, we've got these through world according to scripts. So just for a demonstration, I will show you the world according how the world according to script would work. So you can set these to run, or you can personalize it, just to make that clear that these come out of the box, but you can change these. So these are for application department information. You can change these for any component type you want, and we, along with ourselves, we can help you configure the scripts so you can produce whatever connections and whatever diagrams that you please. And once you've got these set up, you can schedule these. So whether it's a report or a diagram that you want to run every day, every week, every month, whatever your schedule, you can set these for every diagram and every script and every algorithm, just so it's just one less thing to worry about, and you know you're going to get up to date content every time. So if I run this world according to script now, usually takes around 10 seconds just to process it, because what we've got in there, I don't know if you saw before in our applications catalog, we've got about 1,000 applications that we've got multiple connections. And what this will do when it's finished thinking, we'll spit out a new folder within our architecture. So here we go, we've got the dialog box saying that diagrams are created, so I can close it down now. And we can see at the bottom here, solution diagrams, which are based off this template. You now have, I'll just minimize this so you can see it. You have a diagram for every one of those applications. So something that across an organization might have been a team's job to take hours and hours producing each individual diagram, you can, once configured, you can run within the space of a few seconds just to see the relationships top to bottom. And this is just one example of the script. So here you can see the application, where it feeds to in terms of capabilities and what organizations it will affect. So I'd say these are created at a specific time point, but the world according to views, now these are created, will update as new content gets added in. So whilst these diagrams are basically showing as of now, once your data gets updated and that script gets run again, you'll not get a repeat folder of the solutions diagram. They will sit there, and you can update and distribute accordingly. So what I will show you now is the matrices, and a lot of content and analysis in ABACUS stems from a few areas. And the first of these is basically properties. So in these catalogs, just open one of these up for you. And catalogs in the matrices, sorry. So a lot of them are properties, and the second is relationships. And matrices can be used to manage these, and these fall into two categories. So the first one, which is what I've opened here, is a direct matrix. And this is showing the relationship between one component and another. So here we have a list of applications down the left, and across the top we have a list of servers, and you can see the grey boxes where those servers are grouped. And then we have this is hosted at connection in between. So we can see where these applications are hosted. There's a nice easy way to view if you want, and you can just export and send this to someone. So you can see IVR, it's live, and it's hosted on server AU HO1, and just from the grouping you can see that's based in Sydney. So you can see that quite simply from there, and it's just an easy report to dish out at your leisure, pretty much. But the majority of user cases are going to want to use indirect matrices. So, give us a second, it should open. There we go. So on the left we have departments, and over the top we have application. But instead of a connection in the middle between them, as there may not be a direct connection between them, we can actually derive this path by this process that we have here. So this department actually owns this process, and the process uses this application. So if I go to the level 3 diagram that we opened up before, you can see this here. So we're looking at the department here, and that owns a process, and the process uses an application. So you can see there's no directly link there, but you can use these over here. So again, we're just navigating through the matrices, just navigate through the structure. So you can see here if this application is down, then this process can't be used, which will impact this department. Okay, so another thing we can actually have a look at in the interface diagram is we can actually produce a drill down to automatically produce a diagram, so you can see everything that's connected. So here we can see the CRM's down, this process won't work, which will impact that, but that's just one implication of if this goes down. So if we go to the application interface, we can actually create these drill down diagrams. So with a right click, you can see here we've got the drill down create diagram, and by opening this diagram, just open another one. Yeah, just give me a sec. For some reason it's not wanting to open that for me. There we go. So this is just one way of showing if this application went down, what other applications will be impacted. And on what else you can show is with the same principle, every connection using this, so you can get up this application, and if this went down, you can see every application, every department, every single component which is affected. So it just helps you get a view of if you have any outages planned for an application, who's it going to impact, where is it going to impact, and how it's going to impact. So quickly, I will just look at the visual algorithms that we mentioned before. So what this basically does, it's you can use these blocks, which it's basically our method of ensuring you don't have to code anything to do. That is a no-code algorithm. So you can drag and drop these blocks on here like we've done, and it's basically following a logical process to calculate various properties. So you can see the different things here. So you can use a sum, an operation, and it can work through various different scores. So it can count up your technical fit and business fit scores that you may have decided, and using a formula based on this, it will score based on the formula that you input through dragging these blocks onto there. So once you've created these, you can set these to run for any architecture and any component, and that will provide properties throughout. So it just gives you that further depth of analysis. So just cautious of time here. So what I'm going to show you quickly is Enterprise, and just to give you a bit of an idea of what Enterprise actually is compared to Studio. So Studio is basically what sits, it's the heavy lifting, it's what holds everything together, it's where you put all your information, it's where you'll do your data crunching ultimately and making sure everything's connected. And using the collaboration server, it actually combines this all together so you can have more than one user actually tapping into this. So basically using this, as we've got here, see it as a tree in the sense of it goes out, and Enterprise is basically your visualization method of showing all that valuable data that you guys will be creating and harvesting, actually putting into Studio. And it just helps you give it that much more sense of importance to your stakeholders, because we all know visualizations really hit home when you're trying to get a message across. So what I will do is just show you Enterprise now. So refresh the screen and that will be with you. Okay, so this is basically ABACUS Enterprise, which connects directly to your repository and ABACUS Studio. So any changes you make in ABACUS Studio will be reflected here. And what you can see is multiple dashboards along here. So this is just our welcome screen. But as we looked at before, we have the applications catalog, and this information you can see here, and we've got multiple visualizations. So that catalog that we had, that we went through initially, you can see that here, and you can actually go in and make changes live within Enterprise. So if you've got someone who's just a consumer of this data, you can set the permissions within this so they can either edit data rather than actually building the data within ABACUS Studio, or you can have them set as read-only so they can literally just view this. But what we have here is a tree map, and from hovering over it, you can see a national level, you can see the value of each portfolio. But what you can do is drill down, and you can see this is coloured based on life cycle and cost. So you can hover over it or drill down even more. What you can do, you can see we've got the application interface diagram, and again this has come from ABACUS Studio, and these are done through adding portlets. And what you can do within this is actually drill down and see from that diagram a Sankey chart and see the connections from the component that I selected, along with all the different information, the incoming and outgoing component. So you can drill down into those, and from which I'll open up portfolio. You can see the bubble charts, and ultimately these pie charts, you can see here that they're jumping out when I hover over it. And these are basically filters that you can select. So if I'm just wanting to look at applications that I'm looking to retire or eliminate, I can just click that and it will show me everything there. So it filters through dynamically. So then we can have a look at the criticality score. So have a look at number ones. And let's have a look at the ones that are coming, that are production. So we know now you can hover over these and see how many applications and the size of them, of your application that you're going to retire but are still in production. So it just gives you a sense of where you can take this in terms of analysing the data that you have in.
Don't you get a list in the end with the applications you just go through?
Yeah, say that again, sorry?
You did a lot of filtering here, but don't you end up with a final list in the end instead of just bubbles? So
you can either, it'll just show you the business fit, so you've got the technical fit across the bottom and business fit. So it just helps you see where it fits in terms of what you want to do with it. So it just helps give you a better view. So you can have it as a bubble chart. And like I say, we've got...
Yeah, but the question is, when you end up with the last bubbles, can you just click the bubble or double click the bubble to open up the application's properties? Isn't that possible?
No, so you can't actually drill into the bubbles itself. So you can see what they are. But it'll just... So here you can hover over it and see what the application is, and it's in here. I think it's showing the cost of it. But these completely configurable. This is just one of the examples. But you can set. I'm trying to find another one. Show slightly different. But yeah, so here you can see bar charts. You've got a bubble graph again. This is two different views of the organization chart. So there's the diagram before that we went through. And this is a tree map of it, so it just helps you dive into it a little bit deeper, and you can see in a bit more detail what's connected. Okay, so that's everything from me. What questions have we got? So, yeah, if you've got any questions, we've got 5 minutes, and I'll try to answer as many as we can before we have to close.
Well, I think you are advanced. We are just starting here to see the software. The only thing I saw yesterday is that the examples are referring to a template version of 5.1, while the downloaded version is 6.0. So there are some differences on your walkthroughs through the software.
Yeah, that makes sense. And where was it you were looking at that? Was that in the community, the ABACUS community?
No. I just clicked the demo, which
okay.
So yeah, they got your website and says 5.1. Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks.
You can do it, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
On how you use it from the examples.
Yeah, that's true. So our ABACUS Enterprise would be quite new. I would actually appreciate if you could send me the link where you found this.
Okay, I will.
I can update it then, because that would be quite useful.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay, I will.
Okay, and so do you have any other kind of questions around it at the moment, or?
No, we are just in the beginning, at least here in Nottingham.
Well, that makes sense. Like do you guys have trial licenses set up for yourselves already?
I have only me. The other guys do not have. But if you send me a link or mail them directly their license keys, would be nice.
Anyone else who wants a trial license, if you can send me an email, or even if Panos, you just send me an email for your colleague, just with their names and the email address, then I can get those set up for you.
All right. I see. Maybe if another colleague wants also a trial license or not, then I will send you an email today or tomorrow, just to keep it open.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So if you just let me know, then however many of your colleagues want to use it, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, I've just seen one question come through. Do we integrate with MicroFocus CMDB? So we've not got a direct integration as such. Let me just see. So what we do have though is a REST API. So this basically helps you integrate with any CMDB that you are using. So we'd definitely be able to help you integrate ABACUS with the MicroFocus CMDB.
Just in regards to the customization of ABACUS Enterprise, so one of the ways that you can customize this is through the various different dashboards. So you can have it set up that different users are using different dashboards. And in regards to branding, if you want to open Enterprise again real quick. So yeah, so in regards to branding, just if you hover over here, so where we're hovering in the top right, that actually can't be changed, the ABACUS in the top right. But apart from that, then we're able to do a lot of changes in regards to branding otherwise. And yeah,
let's have a look. So I will just check on the microservice architecture. So like I said, we've got lots of libraries. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. So if we have a look in this.
And would this be similar to one of like the SOAs, so the kind of the service-orientated architectures?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think on that one, I can definitely find out for later. So after the call, I can find out of one of the other consultants just how easily it is supported, essentially, and we can let you know that.
Sure. Yeah. If you could go back.
Yeah. That's definitely that'll be one of the priorities there.
Yeah.
I think there were also some questions on containerization, but I just myself don't know the answer to those at the moment. So I'll be able to find those out and get back to you with those as well. I think that was for Damien there. Perfect. And are there any other questions then at the moment? I'll take that as a no.
No.
Brilliant. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for taking the time to come watch our demonstration. So I'm going to have